watching Bombshell Boxing Nation.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? Man, oh man, this is a bombshell right here. The truth continues to come to the light. So boxer Charles Conwell, who's really not happy because he lost a lot of money this year from fights being canceled, he just made a hell of a revelation. You see, Charles is managed by David McWater, the same person who manages Teofimo Lopez. Well, Charles was supposed to fight in April of this year. He was headlining the card, but he pulled out because of a hand injury. Now we find out, according to Charles, he faked the hand injury under the advice of his manager, David McWater. Because his manager, McWater, he wanted to put Charles on the Triller card, the Teofimo versus Kambosos fight on June 19th. He would have made more money. He was going to make $40,000 in this fight in April, and he was getting offered $80,000 to fight on Triller. Now, Conwell, he said he wanted to fight on both cards. So he asked McWater if he could just take both fights, and McWater said that's not a good idea because you might get injured. So when Conwell pulled out of this fight due to a fake hand injury, the whole card was canceled. And then ironically enough, the June 19th card with Teofimo Lopez and Kambosos, that card gets canceled because once again, Teo, he pulled his COVID get out of jail free card. So unfortunately for Conwell, he missed out on a lot of money. He ended up fighting on another card that wasn't televised where I think he made something like $8,000. Conwell, he really feels bad because that fight that he pulled out on, his half-brother, Steen Conwell, he was going to fight on that card and he was going to make a career high payday. So this was a domino effect that screwed everyone. From the promoters, the other fighters on the card, everyone. But this was the most interesting thing that Conwell said. He said, we faked the hand injury because that was the hardest kind of injury to prove. Just think about that for a second. What did I tell you guys about the whole COVID situation? I've been telling you guys for the longest. There's no better excuse than claiming you caught COVID in the middle of a pandemic, right? That's the best excuse to use. It's actually better than the hand injury excuse because you don't have to walk around with a cast or whatever, right? So what this tells us is what a lot of people already knew. This is just confirmation that when things are not going right or a better opportunity presents itself, these fighters and managers, they casually fake injuries to get out of the fight as if it's nothing. You know, I mean, they look at it like, oh, just call in sick. Like you going to work, oh, just call in sick today. I mean, that's the way they treat this. What Conwell just confirmed is that boxers and managers, once again, they've been doing this forever. They've been doing this forever. It's the easiest way to pull out of a fight. Matter of fact, McWater, he spoke on the situation with Conwell pulling out, and he actually added insult to injury because he said, well, you know, we could have used any excuse to pull out of this fight because there was no contract. That's what he said. We could have used any excuse. We could have pulled out for whatever reason we wanted to because there was no contract. And they decided to go with the hand injury excuse. It's just so ironic because nobody believed Teofimo or Tyson Fury when they pulled the COVID card. And now we hear about this story where boxers and managers are casually using fake injuries to pull out of fights. We already know. I've already showed you guys the proof in the reports. The Teofimo Kambosos fight was not selling tickets. In fact, they end up discounting the tickets to damn near like 70% off. And they still couldn't sell tickets for a couple reasons. For one, because no one in the States really knew who Kambosos was. On top of that, They were fighting on one of the busiest fight weeks of the year, where you had a total of about 5 fight cards. And then you also had the biggest press conference of the year, which was Wilder versus Fury, the trilogy, which that got all the attention. And you have Trilla in this situation where they've already invested $6 million plus a couple more million promoting the fight, right? They're trying to get their money back, and then they do the math and realize, wait a minute, guys, we're going to end up upside down if we let this fight go on. So what would be the smartest thing to do in a situation like that? Pull a fake injury. Pull the COVID card. And that's exactly what they did. There is no doubt, and I think the majority of our minds, that Teofimo nor Tyson Fury ever had COVID. They never had it. Now, I like the fact that these decafs, they try to compare, Teofimo or Tyson Fury situation to Errol Spence, because when you do that, guys, all you do is make Teo and Tyson's situation look even worse if you compare the two situations. Now, when it comes to Errol Spence's situation, it was reported that he had a retina tear, and the doctor said he needed to have surgery ASAP, right? And what happened? Damn near the same day or the next day, within 24 hours, Errol Spence, he was getting surgery done. By way of contrast, Teofimo and Tyson Fury, when it was reported they had COVID, you got Tyson Fury 3 days later, he's out walking around in the public. He's at bars hanging around, no mask, right? Proving that he never even had it. When it comes to Teofimo, there was never any video of him sitting around hanging out in quarantine, which we often see with celebrities. If you guys have been paying attention, a lot of celebrities that caught COVID, they're usually isolated in a room, making a video, talking to the fans, saying I'm okay, etc., etc. There were no isolation videos. In fact, days after the report, his dad, Teo's dad, came out and said he's 100%. He's okay. He's 100%, as if he never even had it. You hear some of these people, when it comes to Errol Spence, they're saying, oh man, is it the left eye or is it the right eye? Because the original report came out that it was the left eye. Now, guys, understand this. It would be different if Errol Spence's own team said, oh, we injured our left eye. And then all of a sudden you see pictures of the right eye. That would be a complete different situation. But a reporter or a writer could easily get the wrong eye mixed up, especially when this is news that is still coming in and you're trying to break the news, right? I mean, how is something the writer or the reporter said, how is that Errol Spence's contradiction? But this is the most important thing to say right now. If you have never went on the internet and said anything about the Tyson Fury situation, him walking around once again with no mask 3 days after it was reported that he had COVID, not in quarantine like he's supposed to be. If you have never said anything about that, then nothing you say can be taken serious, because we know what type of person you are. See, with these racists and these coons, what they like to do is they always like to try to find some black guy to say the same thing about that person that we're saying about Tyson Fury or Teofimo or Ryan Garcia. But it's never apples and apples. Spence could have been in another car accident, caught on camera, where you see his car completely totaled, face all busted up. These fans would still say, oh man, I don't believe this. He did this to pull out of the fight. He's ducking. Because once again, guys, they're trying their best, but they're trying too hard. They're reaching. They're trying their best to try to compare any black fighter situation to Tyson Fury's or to Ryan Garcia. That's what this really is all about, guys. Another difference from Tyson Fury's situation and Errol Spence's situation is Tyson admitted he never wanted to fight Deontay Wilder in a third fight. He admitted he was only taking this fight because he had to take it. We heard his promoter, Frank Warren. He said that if Tyson Fury didn't take this fight, it was either fight Deontay Wilder or retire, right? Errol Spence, on the other hand, he had been chasing a Manny Pacquiao fight for 2 or 3 years. This is the fight that would have catapulted Errol Spence's career into superstar status. I mean, he's already like one of the biggest stars in the US when it comes to boxing. But this would have made him the biggest star in boxing, especially if he would have been able to dominate Pacquiao or stop him. Now listen, if Errol Spence said he had a shoulder injury, and then all of a sudden we see footage of him scuba diving the next day like we seen with Manny Pacquiao, after he was supposed to have a shoulder injury in the Mayweather fight, then you could say, oh, this is suspicious. In other words, if you're caught in a lie when it comes to your injury, and once again, I'm not talking about something that a reporter said. I'm talking about when you're caught in a lie about your own injury. That's when you're supposed to criticize someone and question if they're telling the truth or not. Once again, we know what time it is. I mean, do you really think it's a coincidence? The same fans that are now accusing Errol Spence, of all people, of ducking Manny Pacquiao are also the same people that defended Manny Pacquiao when he had his quote-unquote shoulder injury. And then when Manny Pacquiao got caught scuba diving, you know what he said to the media? He said, God's salt water healed my shoulder. I'm not making this up, guys. You can look it up right now. And I already showed you the reports and the headlines in my last previous videos. But you can look this stuff up. He said, God's salt water healed a rotator cuff injury. One of the worst injuries you can have when it comes to your shoulder. And yet, these same fans defended every single thing Manny Pacquiao said. You know why? Because it was never about the truth. It had always been about race for these fans. You know, when I was living in the States, one of my neighbors, when I was living in Las Vegas, he was Filipino. And I used to call him Bolo because he resembled Bolo from Bloodsport. But he was a real nice guy. He was a missionary. And he knew what I did. He knew I reported boxing news. So I remember one time informing him that Manny Pacquiao was having some tax issues. And I just remember he told me, he said, well, don't report that. Don't report that. You see what I'm saying? He was basically saying, even if it's true, don't tell people about that stuff, right? And this is the type of fans that we have when it comes to Manny Pacquiao's fake injuries and all the other contradictions that he makes, which I'm going to do a separate video talking about what he's been saying about him losing to Floyd Mayweather. Yeah, that deserves its own video. But there was nothing wrong with what Bolo said. He was just telling you that he was going to be biased when it came to his own countrymen, right? And that's exactly what a lot of these fans are doing in boxing. But the difference is with decafs is the only times they have something negative to say is if it's about someone who's black. So this goes far beyond just being biased or showing favoritism towards your own countrymen. Like I said, if you didn't say anything about Tyson Fury pulling out or Teofimo pulling out or Ryan Garcia having an anxiety attack, then you cannot be taken serious when it comes to talking about this situation. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one. Fellas, I've got some great news for you. If you've lost your hair or have a receding hairline, the time has come when you can finally get your hairline back through a process called scalp micropigmentation. So here's how it works. It's a hair tattoo that replicates the look of your hair follicles when you have fully shaved it down. So to get this hookup, make sure you follow and contact my man Scalp Carolinas on Instagram. Contact them at 704-499-3471. And make sure you follow them on Instagram. All right, now check this out, guys. If you're looking to repair eczema scars, burns and bruises, dark spots and blemishes, then this right here is the perfect product for you guys. It's called Elo Diki Face and Body Oil. Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to elodiki.com, like them on Facebook, and follow them on Instagram.